Oh, why, hello there. Look what I have.
Hello
Look what I
there.
have. Isn't this beautiful? Oh, look, it's like you have that one and I have this one. This one is a
Right.
prop because I didn't wash it yet today and I have nothing in it. So I can pretend though, because we're
Exactly. Just
actors.
pretend we're
We'll just,
actors. We'll go ahead and
that went down great. That was
isn't that great?
incredible. Oh, and
Just
this is a
delicious.
well, that reminds me for our watchers who may have a uterus,
Hmm.
um, for the uterine watchers,
Yes.
red raspberry tea. That changed my life. He always
Yes.
reminds me every day to drink it. I drink it every day. And a woman, anyone with a uterus, let me just tell you, red raspberry leaf tea, just look it up. It might transform your entire life. All right, moving
So
on.
it's really
We have
helpful
not
for
been
you,
paid.
right?
It's really, really helped me. Menstrual cramps, ovulation stuff, it binds to estrogen and your sex hormones and it makes them all manageable and it's magic and I don't question it.
Got it.
Isn't that amazing? So, and it has some kind of benefit for men too, like antioxidants if they wanted to, but it's really for women. And it says right on it, if you go to HEB or Kroger or wherever, Wegmans, it'll say menstrual or pregnancy. It'll say something about women's reproductive health is what it will say on it. And it's very, very transformative to me.
Wonderful.
And then you can get people in
Now
your
we're
life
not
to
now
remind you.
now
Now
we're
we're not
not
getting sponsored. It just
no,
occurred to
well,
me. No one's
or
paying.
are we giving medical? Are we giving medical? You're
No,
just
they have
telling
to
your
ask their
personal
doctor.
you're telling your personal story. You're not
Mm.
giving a recommendation for people to do. You want them to consult their healthcare professionals.
Or
Our
yes, in
legal
their
beagle
body.
told me that we had to say that.
Try not to sue us. We're going to get a cease and desist. But we would like to be sponsored by any red raspberry leaf tea, if you would like to. So just putting that out there if you're a representative. But anyways, it's not about red raspberry leaf tea. It is about all the kind of things that are going on in the news cycle. So there's the menstrual cycle, but then there's also the news
News
cycle.
cycle. And oh my God, it's just been, you've seen those circus cyclists that have 45 people on them, they're all
Yes.
carrying around, they're going
Mm,
across a tightrope, and they have all people stacked up. Well, that's the way it is. That's the
that's
way it is right
basically
now in
what
the
it
news.
is.
I don't see that we've ever had a time in history
Mm-mm.
when this has happened. And when talking about history, you and I were recently both watched a movie
Yes.
that has to do with history, that has to do with our
Personal history, like
personal
individual history.
individual history. And if
Look at that
you haven't
segue there,
seen it,
people. See, that's the difference between an actual broadcaster, a broadcaster and a podcaster. Let me tell you, there's some actual experience. You see how he smoothly wove that in. I'm just saying.
thank you,
Continue. Continue.
thank you. So in our histories, that we sit there and we
Mhm.
say, okay, wouldn't it be interesting? What if I could tell my younger self or give myself some advice?
Right.
Wouldn't that be interesting if I could? This is a thought experiment that many of us at one time or another have gone. Well, this movie takes it to the next logical conclusion. And the movie is called, if you haven't seen it, there are going to be some minor spoiler alerts, but I
Yes.
promise you, it's one of the things where uh, you and I have talked about this a number of times. I love seeing movies or television shows that start with the end. They show you the final scene, and
Right.
then they
Like a
go
Columbo. Like a
and then
Columbo.
they go 3 days before. So
Right.
now you can
You are
see
into that.
everything that you get a chance to lead up to wherever it is. So
Mhm.
this is not important. So don't worry about the spoilers in this. Please trust us on this,
Yes.
that the journey is worth the destination. Now
Right.
go ahead, play the
Okay.
trailer.
Here's the trailer, everybody. It's called My Old Ass.
What if one of us gets too high and it like changes the fabric of our friendship forever. I don't feel anything. Hey, freak. Dude, I'm you. You're me. What's up?
Where do we live? Do we have kids? Are we like so happy?
I don't want to tell you too much and ruin the surprises of life.
Ta-da!
It's our missing pinky toe. Oh, that has not happened yet.
My old ass.
It was very funny, and it's really good acting.
It's brilliant, and it's a woman written story. It's a woman directed story. That's what, and that's in this time of astonishingly dark masculinity that we are experiencing in our country. I'm craving women-driven stories. I'm craving the stories of women because they have been subsumed. Stories of women have been subsumed for this masculine daddy's home, and this is what we need.
That's a Tucker Carlson quote. So if anyone thinks he's being histrionic, let me tell you, Tucker Carlson literally compared the country and voters to a teenage daughter who gets spanked by his father when daddy gets home.
Exactly.
He
and
literally
he's
said
pissed.
that. Yeah. And so I don't know how Tucker interacts with adolescent girls, but it was disturbing.
Irrespective, and I don't want to get into his psyche, but it has gotten into the psyche of the United States of America and the world, because we're having a new world order. Things are shifting, but this particular story has to do with she goes on a mushroom trip and somehow separates her consciousness to where she gets to meet her 39-year-old self.
Right.
Now, what I believe, or what I like to think and believe, is that we all exist along timelines. And so one timeline might be a parallel timeline. And on a parallel timeline, Dennis is 76 years old, which I am now. But on another timeline, there is a 31-year-old Dennis who is in LA, who is starting reasonably spontaneous conversation, is having all of this opportunities for success, and then finds a way to sabotage it. Now, it's interesting. What could 76-year-old Dennis tell 31-year-old Dennis that he might listen to? But conversely, what are the things that 31-year-old Dennis might be able to tell 76-year-old Dennis about the things that I have forgotten? What is it about that unbridled optimism of arriving in LA and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna take this town by storm, and I'm going to be able to do," and all that chutzpah that drove me to be able to get the Mel Blancs and the Peter Torks and the Danny Arnolds and the Doris Roberts on this teeny tiny black and white television show.
I have a clip just to set the stage. Can I just show a quick clip? Just for a second?
Because this final thing brings me back to my political argument. Because the psychological and the political, of course, are not separate. Our psyches and our polities are... As long as we keep ourselves separate, and as long as we go on the basis that one person's gain is another person's loss, we are going to go on a basis where we are going to regard that as true in the national economy, too. But the converse is truer. That is, that as we shift over to a cooperative, where working together is the main emphasis, and individual effort is the lesser emphasis, we will all gain much more rapidly. And that is why I promote the communityist and cooperativist systems as opposed to capitalist. Thank you. End of speech.
And I am very glad to know that there is someone out there, yourself, promoting that position and promoting that.
Okay, that's Peter Tork from the Monkees.
Yes.
Okay, and that's you at 31 years of age.
Yep.
And this is who you're talking about. And this is beamed directly into Hollywood. So you're getting all of the Hollywood stars not only coming on your show, but actually watching your show. And you're getting all this buzz. But it goes all away. So this guy
goes all the way because I did not have all the pieces at the time. I did not have the pieces in my psyche. I was not ready. It was not time. So now what happens? I'm 76 years old. Finally, you and I have met. So
And you
you have
could
come
tell
to me,
him,
and you have come to me, and you have come to me, and you have said, in my way, I have plenty to say to you too. But anyway, but just on that aspect, you have said, okay, I am here to help you heal that. Whatever it was, we don't know what it is, but we'll go into that room, open it up, and we're going to find out what's in there, put it into some kind of order, and take another shot at this opportunity. Now, that's what that's what we've done here. So now, what could my 76-year-old my being 76, what can my 31-year-old tell me
right?
about that? And I need you, Dr. Jaworski,
Thank you.
like, the daughter of your mother, the
The
world famous
world, yeah, it
psychologist.
was like literally
So hopefully some of that has rubbed off on
the
you.
slightest bit. It's like not DNA, but like the D, like just the D
Yeah,
rubbed
just
off.
the D, the NA we'll get
We'll
later,
deal
but
with that
the,
later.
D, at least
Mhm.
as part of the D, has rubbed off, so that
The
you can
D.
help me know what it is about that person that I can bring in right now, so I can resurrect and make it so that I can, because I need all the help I can get. I mean, it's a high wire act out here, and so that's what I need. So
Yes.
so
Well,
please take over.
what I love is this. So in the movie My Old Ass,
Yeah.
you do think that the older version is going to be the one totally in control, has it all figured out. But there's a flip where when the moment comes, it's like a moment of crisis comes, it's actually the younger version that gets to guide the older version. So that's why Dennis is sort of taking us back and saying, okay, the 76-year-old is going to have some things to say to the 31-year-old. But the 31-year-old is going to have some things to say to the 76-year-old. And a lot of it is that unbridled audacity and the optimism and the confidence, because the world hasn't whittled away so much of the security yet.
No, no,
That's what
and
that's what
that's what
happens.
I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it's a wearing away. So how do we resurrect that? How do we regain the optimism of our youth and middle age?
Mhm.
How do we regain that? Because I need that so much.
Right. And I need that too. Like I think about
Oh
in
God,
my
as you're
right.
in your what, late middle age, wait a minute, what do we say we are?
Stop. Oh, look, I have an itch. Oh, look at that. Oh, look, everybody. Anyway,
Anyway, all right. You're
okay, but
in your
in my
what do
late
we decide?
20s,
Yeah,
somewhere in my late
anyway,
20s.
at 43, which you are, uh, at
Good, but
43, you're
why?
getting a
But
chance.
why?
But
Yes,
why? Isn't that yeah, isn't
but
that
it feels
wonderful?
so young to people. Look, to the whippersnappers who are like in their 20s and they think that their genitals are going to fall off when they hit 40. Their brain is going to atrophy when they hit 40, and no one's going to. Let me tell you something. For whatever reason, in 2025, this is everybody loves the older people. Like, and I have more vim and vigor. I have more of the stuff that people think is going to fade now. And I'm not joking. It's not just that, like, oh, I have better wisdom. No, like, in fact, to Dennis's point, some of my wisdom has been sapped away.
Hmm.
Actually,
Exactly. We have lost something, and so now, so how do we regain the best of what was then? So we
Mhm.
literally were coming into the table and we're saying, okay, well,
The best
let's
of
take the
everything.
best
Mhm.
of what it was at that time, the best of
Absolutely.
the optimism, the best of the audacity, the best
Mhm.
of a willingness to go through it, and then let's sit back and then take the best of what's here
Right.
and
Yeah.
then go on. So that's what I want. And so you cleared it up. You really helped me in this one because we hadn't really talked about that before. So it's for me to be able to maintain the audacity,
Mhm.
the
And the innocence, audacity and innocence. Those are
yeah,
like your two things and my two things.
I love that. I love that because the and so to regain innocence,
Mhm.
fascinating. Talk about
Because
that.
here's the thing. One of the things that's so great is, okay, one of the reasons we go back into the past and we analyze, Like for you, you had some traumatic events when you were in LA, like a motorcycle accident, right?
That was at the end. That was me
At the
chewing.
end.
This was my paw in a trap, chewing my off so I can get out. I literally had I was running on fumes, emotionally and spiritually,
Mhm.
intellectually. I was just running on fumes. I just could not. So my excuse, as it seems so clear now, was to drive out my motorcycle in front of a car. So I would have my legs so injured that I had to go into rehab and to go that would stop that, to be able to do, because I wasn't able to have the step by step that it would take to be able to do it, because in addition to the audacity, right, and all the
Mhm.
that there is that I didn't have the infrastructure. And that's what I think 76-year-old Dennis can
Mhm.
provide. If 31-year-old Dennis can provide the audacity and the innocence,
Mhm.
76-year-old Dennis can provide the infrastructure, the stick-to-itiveness, the willingness to send out the 800th email that
Mhm.
is going to be necessary before that last snowflake before
Mhm.
the avalanche hits. That's what I want to see. Can those two things coexist together? And I believe they can, and primarily because of our wonderful.
Yes. Right. And I just want to play this because this is you holding up a picture of yourself as a toddler.
Mhm.
Okay. So I just want to play this because it's cute. It's just for what we're talking about.
Yes, thank you.
So, and I love that it's a love song because it's really you. Okay, here's what I want to say.
That is my old that in a
That is
beautiful
my
play
old acid.
by Anne Riggs,
Mhm.
the marvelous artist Anne Riggs. That is how it happens. That is what I want to say, and that's what I need. So I want to thank everybody who has joined us for this Dennis's therapy session.
Well, art is therapy, art is therapy, spirituality is therapy, all of this is therapy. But that's
If life is not therapeutic, then something has gone wrong.
beautifully put. And now the last thing I want to say about this is that one of the reasons why we try to have that beautiful love story with our former selves
Mhm.
and to be holistic and, like you said, the best of both worlds, is because we're trying to get back to the authentic self, who we are. And very early in life, very early, even in the womb, we are having exterior pressures changing and influencing us that are not authentic to who we are. So as we get older and more of those pressures are being exerted, it's ever more important for us to say, hold on, what is really inside? And then we're always growing and changing. And we want to make sure we're being honest with who we are today and how that's changed. So when you look to your past, when you look at the 31-year-old, you're going to see what the commonalities are, what is the authentic thing, and then how you can help yourself build and stay true to yourself, which is really important because you don't want to live everyone else's version of your life.
No.
You want to live who you are supposed to be, your purpose.
Yes.
And so that's part of what this is. And your purpose is going to be different than other people. So when you're listening to other people's voices telling you, don't do this, do this, you're just living their lives. They don't know anything about your purpose. So
No.
that's why it's very important to stay true and to see the thread of, okay, how did trauma affect me? Well, then that's not me. If I'm reacting to trauma, I'm not being genuine. That's why you always want to go in and say, okay, where's the authentic me, and
I
what is
am.
just the
Thank you.
reaction? Right. So, and I'm
Very good.
doing that
Very
too.
good, Dr. Jaworski. I appreciate
If
your
only I had a German accent.
Yeah.
If only I had the German. Okay, so My Old Ass is the movie. Go out and watch it, challenge yourself, and then ask yourself the question of what would you change in the past? And this segues into our next topic, which is really, well, no, finish quickly. Yeah, finish.
Exactly. That is what would each tell us what would our younger selves, what is the
Mhm.
best of? Because I would tend to look back on my younger self and say, well, look at the mistakes I made, look at the, but what of the best of my earlier self? What
Yeah.
could it tell me? And that's what you helped me unpack today. So audacity and innocence. So
Mhm.
return to innocence, expand the audacity, and
Yes.
then bring that into my current self
Absolutely.
with the wisdom that I have gained and see where we can take it from there. And that's where on Reasonably Spontaneous Conversation, which we have rebooted with
Mhm.
Glory Be Good Productions and
Mhm.
Pardon Media in a co-production, we have launched Reasonably Spontaneous Conversation 4.0.
Mhm.
This is the this is the new version, and we will have one of the guests that we have, the a world famous writer, but we'll take that later. But before we get to that,
Mhm.
we're going to be talking about the importance of the rise of the divine feminine
Yes, and women's narrative.
in women's narratives, because this is what I think this is the thing that is most calling to our culture to
Mm.
heal. Uh,
Yeah.
as I have said on many different occasions, and I'll continue to say here, Gloria Steinem said the two most dangerous times for a woman who's in a toxic relationship is when she makes the decision to leave and immediately after she has left. And I believe this last election was the calling up. This was the rise of the divine feminine, and we have seen the backlash by the toxic, by the I hate to use the word toxic masculinity. I want to use another
Yeah,
word.
we gotta
There's
come up
got to
with
be a
something
better word.
else.
There's a better way of saying it, but it isn't. It is exactly. And what we're seeing is the and it arises so much of exactly what Peter said. Uh,
Peter?
Peter Tork.
Oh, right. Yes, in what we saw there. Yes.
The thing is that what he says is that when we have a hierarchy, which
Mhm.
which is exactly what we're talking about here, where everything comes from the top down instead
Mhm.
of the collaborant. And this to me, the hierarchy is the patriarchy. It's the top down, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if there's a woman or at the top or whatever. It's the top down organization. But
Mhm.
instead, when it's a collaboration, when we have
Mhm.
collaboration, certainly we have a leader because the wheel turns and there's a person on top, and so the person will
Yes.
be able to direct what they have. But then it continues to go that it is that the pie then continues to grow bigger. It's synergy.
Mhm.
That's what we're talking about women, and that's where we're going to be coming back to, because we know that we're on this little blue marble. We are citizens of the world. We might have the designation that we happen to be a citizen of this particular country, but honest to goodness, we're a member of this entire world, and we better act like it.
I totally agree. And the sort of the patriarchal thing that we're going through now, which is misogynistic,
Very
you
much.
know, there's all these double standards as well. That's why it's so important to have the female narrative where it applies to one little caveat. The female narrative should be there for women speaking for women. Like My Old Ass was female characters. So it was great that it was written by women and directed by a woman. But women don't always understand what men need. And so when men are telling their stories, I do want to tell my sisters, please listen, because we don't know everything that they go through, and we just don't. So I'm trying to listen to men more and understand why, like what their experience is. And if you're a woman who is really angry at men right now, I would say this, I'm still telling you this because it behooves all of us to understand where the other person is coming from, because we have to, like Dennis said, we're living on this planet together. So no matter what your emotions are, please listen. We're asking men to listen to women's narratives, and I really want women to also listen to men's narratives, to continue to. Of course, we've been exposed to the male
You've been doing
narrative.
it, but you're doing it all the time, and you do it all the
We're
time.
doing it
I
all
mean,
the time, but to
you're going
make
to
sure we're
continue to do it.
still hearing that. Yeah. But here's the thing. So MM Farwell, who is amazing, and her granddaughter is amazing. She LR from Orchid Times. People will know her from her Orchid Times. And Farwell, of course, has Journeys as a show, and she does all kinds of stuff. Everyone knows Farwell. She made this public post that you and I commented on the other day, where she talked about the double standard too. It's like, you know, these MAGA people are obsessed with Elon and, oh, he's amazing, and Trump is a man of God and all that. And it's like, oh my gosh, if a woman or a person, a man of color, were to do what they're doing, everyone would call them out as being so immoral and unethical. And they also have that double standard where when a man does something, quote unquote, considered wrong, it's like the woman. It's the woman's fault. It's the woman's fault. Like, women are continually being held responsible for male behavior.
Yep.
And so anyways, if you follow Farwell, go back like 2 or 3 days and you will see the post. It's fantastic.
Thank you, and you were so right at the opposite, because I run the thought experiment, and I think they can do this with AI, with character generator, and I would love to be able to see this.
Yeah.
If we were able to take January the 6th, 2020, and put everyone there and make their skin black.
Right. It would change.
And now have the same thing happen. What do you think the reaction might be?
Well, we know. We already know.
Exactly.
We already know from BLM protests and things like that.
But if that's true, though, if that's true, then maybe we need to look a little deeper.
I agree. And we have Jasmine Crockett was on MSNBC last night. I have a little snippet from her. If you haven't heard of her, here's an introduction by Ali Velshi about who she is. And just take about a second to look at her.
Joining me now is someone on the front lines of the effort to push back against Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is a Democrat of Texas. She's a member of the House Oversight Committee on DOGE. Congresswoman, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
DOGE, yes, that DOGE.
This is a tricky one. Now, you have the benefit of you were not a member of Congress in the first Trump administration. You were in government, but this is what's your take on what resistance looks like for you, for me, for society, for those lawyers at the DOJ? What are you supposed to do?
Yeah. So first of all, hats off to each and every person who literally said that I have some ethics about myself and therefore I'm just going to resign. That's as it relates to the DOJ as well as every other agency. The scary part about this, though, is that only his lackeys will be left running our governmental agencies, whatever is left of those governmental agencies. When I think about resistance, though, I've had a lot of conversations. And one of the things that keeps coming up is how the former governor of this state was consistently doing daily briefings in the midst of COVID because we couldn't trust anything that Donald Trump was saying about the pandemic.
Right.
So everyone tuned in to really what almost was like the shadow president, the guy that was going to give us facts and not tell us to inject ourselves with bleach.
Right.
I think that we need to do something similar to that because all they're going to do, him and his new press secretary, is spew lies upon lies upon.
Right. So resistance being give some diversity of thought. Make sure that others are being represented. Yes.
And this is where they're organizing. And I think we're going to see this. We're going to see a shadow government.
Right.
Which, in other words, we're going to have someone like Pete Buttigieg who's going to talk once a week on transportation issues. We're going to the Secretary of Energy, former Secretary of Energy, I forget her name, sorry, but anyway, she will be talking, and this is what we need. We need to be able to have a narrative that we can trust. And by the way, you're going to see a lot of Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett is
she's a star
to grow in her star, in her wonderful work, her intelligence, her zazz, her audacity, so much of what we have. So we have a lot. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be standing up for us. We need not to lose hope. We must keep our center and know that together we can do this, and we can do this all. So anyway, thank you.
Absolutely.
You.
Well, one more thing. We want everybody to subscribe to the Tardon Media channel. And
this is on RSC 4.0, produced by Glory Be Good Productions,
right?
And Tardon Media. This happens to be a world. If you grew up and read The Giver, The woman's name, you're very familiar with it.
Very
It's Lois
familiar.
Lowry. She
Lois Lowry.
she is probably the most well-known young adult
And you've done like a
novelist.
trilogy with her. You've done a
Yes, I've done
trilogy.
3, and she's said she will come back again,
Mhm.
and we'll talk. And she's 88 years old, and a couple of years ago, she wrote her latest novel. She's working on a new one,
Of
but
course.
this is from her latest novel,
Tree Table Book. Yep.
3-book
Oh,
table.
interesting.
Tree Book Table.
And I began to care about 11-year-old Sophie right away. What an absolute, I mean, she had her own personality, her own, she had her own mind, her own
Mhm.
mind as to what she thought the world was like. And she had this wonderful attitude about life, and her best friend Ralphie across the street, and Oliver, and you brought in an autistic child. So I'm looking at it from the idea of introducing two people, and I take children and young adults as people, introducing them and opening up channels of compassion for autism, for someone who is so different, which is Sophie, the 11-year-old character. She's so different, yet she is completely ready to step out into the world and learn about it and make mistakes and learn and correct. And it was stunning. This character, Sophie, is just, did you model her on?
I think that's an interesting question to me. Many years ago, I wrote a series about it. There are 7 books all told, I think, in that series, and the character's name is in each title, and her name was Anastasia Krupnik. And as you were talking, I was thinking Sophie, of course, but I was also going back and thinking she's just like Anastasia was. Different circumstances, different parents, but that same kind of, I don't know how to describe it, and you described it quite well, but clear thinking and individualistic and sardonic and funny, though she doesn't intend to be funny.
So if you guys want to watch the full one and the whole trilogy, of course, you have to go to Tardon Media on YouTube or tardonmedia.com, right?
Wonderful. Thank you, Renee, and
Thank you.
thank you for taking us through this, and thank you for all you're doing for
Yes.
31-year-old Dennis and 76-year-old Dennis too.
Of course. And the toddler that was featured earlier. Very cute one.
Amen.
Cheers.
Bye, everybody. We gave Rory
Rory, we gave Rory Penland. We love you, Rory. All right, here we go.